And now starting with a yin pose, we'll take seated butterfly, bringing the soles of the feet together, a distance out from the body. So it's different from Baddha Konasana, where the feet are into the body. There's a diamond shape in the legs. And then find that tall spine. A lot of times chairs encourage us to round back, so the pelvis sometimes is tilting back. Here we want to get that tall, natural alignment. So if you're just working with that rounding and working toward lifting the pelvis and changing that tilt, you can stay upright. If your knees are much higher than your hip bones, you'll want some height under your hips. So you might want a pillow underneath your hips or a blanket. If you have the alignment of the spine and it's appropriate for your body today, with the exhales, you can begin to release into a forward bend. So finding the place where if you continue further, your back is going to round, and pausing there. You can keep your head on top of your spine if that's most comfortable for you. Sometimes it feels really good to just let the head hang. You might want to bring your elbows to the insteps and prop your head up. Or you may have your head resting in your feet. So finding the shape that's appropriate for you. And remembering, we'll hold this pose for 3 minutes. Remembering the 3 tenets of Yin Yoga. You take the shape suggested and make it appropriate for you. Soften into the pose. So we're allowing gravity to do the work here rather than muscular exertion. And you hold the pose for a longer period of time. So we'll hold today for 3 minutes. These poses can be held anywhere from 3 to 20 minutes. And focusing on the breath. And I'll explain why we're doing this. The yang yoga that we do, the more active yoga, is focused on bringing moisture and heat and flexibility into the muscles. So there's repetitive motion, it moves more quickly, and it brings flexibility to the muscles. These poses where we don't warm up first, and we take the stretch and allow gravity to deepen it, they focus on the connective tissue of the joints. So if we're not aware of the need to pay attention to the joints, what happens is the connective tissue over time will shrink wrap. It'll tighten. And we can keep our muscles flexible, but this connective tissue will limit our mobility eventually. So these poses are really focused at bringing blood flow and vitality into the joints. Because we're bringing a bit more flexibility and range of motion into our joints, we want to make sure that we're strengthening the muscles also of the lower body. So some of the yang poses that we'll do later will focus on strengthening around the connective tissue that we're stretching here. The reason this form of yoga is called yin, if you think of the Chinese Taoist symbol, the yin-yang or yang symbol, the yin side is the lighter side, and that's representing energy that's more outward moving, more linear, warmer, and more toward the surface. The yang side is the dark side, and it represents energy that we all have, which is more internal, more receptive, cooler, and deeper. And that describes our connective tissue. So here we are in this receptive pose, a yin pose. Taking 2 more deep yogic breaths. Equal inhale, equal exhale, maybe a slow count of 4 or a slow count of 5. And with the next inhale, coming up to seated. Just noticing the energy in the outer hips and the low back, the areas that we were focusing on in that stretch. We'll come down for a reclined spinal twist. So bringing the feet out, knees bent. Holding on to the backs of the legs as you roll down onto your back. Arms come out in a T position, resting on the floor. Right knee crosses left knee, like you're sitting in a chair, crossing your legs. And the knees drop toward the floor on the left side. Right arm comes overhead, and breathing into this shape. So most of the yin poses focus on the lower body. And they're really intended to prepare the body for meditation. I find that for myself, yin has helped with injuries, helped when we injure a part of the body, the connective tissue tends to tighten up around it and actually send off shoots to other parts of the body, which creates tightness elsewhere. So the yin can be very helpful in healing injuries. It's also been helpful in kind of going beyond a plateau of flexibility. When I was just focusing on muscular flexibility, I'd hit a certain plateau. And the yin has really brought additional flexibility to my body. And it's very helpful in preparing for meditation. We can actually take these yin poses as mindfulness meditation periods and settle the mind and the body for seated meditation. So for the next minute and a half here, we'll do a mini meditation. Just resting your non-judgmental awareness on the breath, the inhale and the exhale. And when physical sensations grab your attention and you lose the breath, just noting that and being fully present to whatever's happening in your body. Maybe noting aching or throbbing, pressure, and staying with it. What you'll find is that it will change. When thoughts grab your attention and come to the forefront of your awareness, labeling thinking, and coming back to the breath. And maybe a feeling will pop up. Maybe boredom, maybe anger. Just noting that and noticing where you feel that in the body, the quality of that energy, and staying with it. And you'll notice that'll change. And when you can, coming back to the breath in the body. We'll take one more slow, deep yogic breath. And inhaling center, unwinding. Take a breath here. Notice the energy in the body. And switching to the other side. So left knee crosses right, knees drop toward the floor on the right side. Left arm comes up by the ear, resting on the floor. This pose is bringing greater flexibility and blood flow and energy flow into the low back and into all the connective tissue up the side that you're stretching. It's especially good for women who've had breast surgery. So just breathing here, being present with whatever this experience is. And as the stretch gets a bit more intense, notice what happens. A lot of times we want to avoid what's uncomfortable or intense. What is it like to just stay with it, to breathe into it, to be present with it? To be in this moment, whatever it brings. Practicing non-judgmental awareness, or even affectionate awareness if you can manage that. If you can't manage that today, we'll just stick with non-judgmental. And when thinking comes up, maybe you start thinking about what you have on your schedule for tomorrow. Rather than get carried along by that, we can easily start thinking, well, how will I do all of that? I'm going to be tired, and it's too much, and maybe if I do this and then that. Rather than get carried away by that, just notice thinking and staying in this present moment. Because the past is the past, and the future hasn't happened yet. All we have is this moment here. And what a gift if we can be fully here in this moment. So we'll take half a minute to breathe into this shape and to practice that mindfulness. Now inhaling center and unwinding. Pausing with the feet on the floor, the knees bent. And just notice the energy in the body.